Hey, I'm back, guys. Sorry it took longer than expected. It turns out no sooner had I announced that I was back on the last stream, there was yet more plug socket issues, electrical issues that have now been fixed. Apparently these plug sockets in the bedrooms were dangerous, but then it turned out they weren't so dangerous and I could have continued doing stuff. Housing associations, guys. Just don't deal with them if you can afford to. So anyway, since I've been gone, a lot has happened, but don't worry, I've been keeping abreast of all these situations, and this video is obviously going to be about one such situation, the Big Con incident, the Daily Wire versus Steven Crowder, which has been fascinating, because let's be honest, it's not that surprising that a mainstream right-wing organisation, such as the Daily Wire, are actually in cahoots with big tech, and well, let's just say, net negatives for the right wing in general. I'm not going to make a whole video on the subject because it's already been done to death. If you want to really know what's going on, watch Crowder's videos, even watch Daily Wire's responses. Sticks, Axe and Hammer did some stuff. Really do watch other people for that kind of stuff, because I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to talk about the general issue around this, because Steven Crowder has unearthed something into the public eye that really should have been talked about far more often, and that is what he calls Big Con. What is Big Con? Well, it's a double meaning. Big Con means big conservative. Think all the mainstream conservative figures and organisations you can possibly think of, they can mostly all be grouped in together as Big Con. Breitbart, Daily Wire, the Conservative Party of the UK, the Republican Party of the US, etc, etc. That is Big Con. But on the other hand, it means literally big con. It's a con. These people are conning you. They haven't got your best interests at heart if you are a creator or somebody who is seeking out right-wing content in this crazy clown world in which we live in. These people are not on your side. They have a vested interest in the current world order and to keep it as it is, for a variety of reasons, shall we say. It could be that they're part of the mono party in the US, and to some extent there might be one in this country, where the two sides are supposed to be polar opposites of each other, but actually work in lockstep with each other. One just so happens to want progress at a slower pace than the other, but they seem to be going in the same direction nonetheless because it benefits them personally. They may or may not have ideological needs to do so. They may just be purely pragmatists who think it's the best way to line their own pockets and their friends. We don't know, but that is what it is. It's a con. It's designed to keep you fighting amongst your fellow citizens and ignore the big elephant in the room, which is of course the communist agitators that have taken over our institutions for nearly 100 years now. That is what Crowder is essentially talking about. Only he's not talking about the true problem, although these people are a problem. He's talking about the media side of things, and these people are a problem because they are the mouthpiece for the people behind the scenes who have been corrupting our civilization for, again, 100 years. These people have mainstream ideas, they have mainstream thoughts, only they pretend that although they are moderates, that they're still against the elites, who they brand as just the Democrats and the Liberals, even though it's Liberals, Democrats, and also rhinos. At least that's if you're an American. In Britain, we don't use the term liberal for that, we just call them socialists, because that's what they are. They prop up the neocon rhino right, and on the other hand, pay lip service to some extent, but still kind of flatly criticise the progressive left. This is why you don't see really in-depth exposés into how they've destroyed our culture and subverted us. You just see them talk about mainstream topics such as trans kids and why that's bad. You will see them talk about how progressives are fundamentally good people, just misguided, and all that good shit, while also simultaneously being never-Trumpers who jumped on the bandwagon as soon as they realised that if they didn't, they would die. Their careers, that is, not their lives, and if they didn't jump on the bandwagon, they would lose popularity and support and be exposed as the grifters that they are. The idea for the elites that run our Western civilization is simple. These people will become the mouthpieces, the representatives of the right wing, and convince the midwits and the idiots who make up of this support. I hate to say it, but most of us are midwits and idiots, and that's a sad fact. We are no stupider nor smarter than leftists. That is just simply the case. Deal with it, guys. These people will convince them that they're the true right-wingers that they must follow, and they must vote for the people that they say they must vote for, or at the very least think about these uppity populists just a little bit more before they cast their ballot, to make it out like these people are more right-wing than they actually are. And it's a tried and tested formula. The Conservative Party has done this for hundreds of years. They pretended to be more classical liberal, and then obviously they became ever more socialist and still managed to convince the electorate constantly, Margaret Thatcher aside that is, that they were right-wing and their credentials were sound, and the people lapped it up because, well, they're idiots. Without the Daily Wire, without the Daily Mail, without any of these outlets, they wouldn't really be able to do that. And that's their primary job. Because let's be honest, if you think that Matt Walsh's documentary on trans kids and the trans issue in general is some big groundbreaking thing, I've got news for you. That stuff has been mainstream for a long time now. That opinion that he espoused, that's law in most European states. That is law in most American states. In most of the world, we don't allow kids to transition. It's just something that is not done. Sure, you may have outliers like the devolved government of Scotland trying to enact this, but it's being shot down by Westminster because Westminster is still in charge of the country, and in general in the UK, although it's taking far too long, we will be enacting laws in the near future banning this. All of this is mainstream and accepted that kids will not be allowed to transition in most countries and in most jurisdictions. And yet we're meant to believe this is an edgy dissident belief, even though, let's be honest, that it's such a powerful narrative, it's something that is believed by untold millions on the left and the right, that not even the commies, the intersectionals, can even get rid of this narrative. They can't stop it. It's too late. It's done. It's finished. These same institutions will also make sure that any rebellions against the mainstream big con conservatives are crushed. Whether that be the Ron Paul movement, the Brexit movement in general has been subverted by these people. From what I've seen, Crowder hasn't really talked about the real deep implications of this big con. Yes, he may mention some of what I've said, but let's be honest, he's primarily talking about how they're ripping off people and how they're not doing anything to stop big tech and in fact are advancing their goals. But I didn't really get much detail other than they are, which obviously they are. I mean, look at the contracts, look at the content they put out, look how they treat their workers, their journalists, etc. Like, yeah, that's all bad. But all that is immaterial if we don't address the elephant in the room, if we don't address who's behind them. These people are nothing more than a symptom, not the cause of Big Con. Big Con is part of the mono party, part of the elite. And if we don't address them, then these people will continue to ride roughshod over our movements. That's who we need to take care of. So there we have it. I won't go on for too long now after this. So in conclusion, he's opened a can of worms that must remain open. These people can no longer be respected. They can no longer be taken seriously. They must be considered as an enemy. Yes, it's important to criticise them. Yes, it's important to deal with them. But if we don't deal with the brains behind them, then they will continue to exist. So anyway, until next time, it's been your boy. I'm back. I will have more time next week and for the rest of February to make more content. Thank you for your never-ending patience. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Bye, guys.